Always wanted to do this. No reason.
There you go. Well, you're covered.
Absolutely none. Can't laugh at ourselves. Thanks for you guys being able to return to do a presentation. Our friends from I-9 Sports, and there's a lot working with Roman and I-9. Goal is to bring a different level of competition, formation of a flag football, and maybe venture out into other youth sports opportunities. Right now, the City of Lawrence has agreement for youth soccer, 2 baseball leagues, and football are the 3. Now, the township schools through the elementary school has LTBB, Lawrence Township Basketball League. Don't even think it. That is an institution for Jeff Yu, who runs it. Jeffrey Yu, who runs it, had his son at Lawrence North. Yeah, it's been up and going for 30-plus years. Like I said, it's in the elementary schools, and they do. Leave them alone. No, that's fight you don't want. So with that being said, our friend from I-9 Sports, introduce yourself, and what can you do? And like I said, focusing primarily right now on flag football. And Mr. Roman, I'm going to bug you probably periodically. Just a heads up. You're on.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having us again back. So my name is Anna Finley. This is my cousin Connor Purius. And then we have 2 other owners. One's my husband and one's his brother. So it's a nice family organization that we have.
And I graduated with his father from LC, class 81.
Yep.
There you go.
Keeping it in the family.
Yep.
So my husband and I, kind of how we got into I-9. So he is military. He's getting ready to retire from the military. And so we're kind of, what's next? What are we going to do? And so then we decided he loves youth sports. We looked into some of the organizations that we've kind of been a part of the last 20 years. Fell in love with I-9 Sports when we lived out in Hawaii because it's a franchise. Chris was a coach for, I think, 9 seasons with them, so long time. So we got really into the organization. We found out they were opening a couple franchises out here in Indianapolis. With my family being out here, we decided. You're good? Okay. Oh.
Sounds like the Lou Gehrig speech.
I love all these baseball.
Hello.
Okay. So we decided to bring I-9 Sports to the area. Thought it would be good for all around. We just love that it's a little bit. It's lower than travel sports. It's a little more elevated than just like your normal rec sports because we do have paid staff. So that's one of the big things that we offer. So we love it. That's kind of our background. I'll let Connor talk a little bit about his background in the area.
Yeah, pretty similar to Anna from a conceptually why we love I-9 and got into it. But my background, unlike Anna, I grew up here in Lawrence. My parents still live in the house I grew up in at 79th and Sunnyside. So my brother and I were Lawrence lifers. Played in LTBBL growing up, so I know what you mean. I played full-time travel baseball growing up at OYO as well, so obviously understand the baseball dynamic. But grew up here, and when we've gone to identify where we want our organization to go to next, there's obviously an area in which fits the need of what we want, but also there's the side that is hitting home a little bit, right? Like for my brother and I specifically, that we now get to share with Anna and Chris. So that's a huge reason why we care about Lawrence in general, why we think it could be successful, and I feel like we share a lot of values with what Lawrence wants. Obviously, there's a heavy population of kids who can afford any price to pay, and there's a heavy population of kids who can't afford a price to pay in Lawrence, and that's something we've identified and we care about on how we can kind of get more kids on both sides of the tracks to play in a league that we can operate to try to bring these core values we have to the Lawrence community and also beyond Lawrence in general. So, yeah.
So part of the reason why we chose I-9 Sports, one of the big things that I love is the sportsmanship values. So there's 9 sportsmanship values. Every week we identify a different sportsmanship value. So we let our coaches know about it. We give a sportsmanship award. We give a sportsmanship sign for them to put outside when they win the sportsmanship value of the week. I had given a kind of list to you guys. This is the values that we have here, so I'll read it off just for the people at home. Respect, humility, inclusion, positivity, enthusiasm, integrity, teamwork, determination, and leadership. My favorite one that we have, I will say, is inclusion. So we actually have 2 deaf teams that play in our league this year, and then we also have a deaf ref who is our interpreter as well. So we love being able to be all-inclusive. Everybody, you know, can play. The older team is actually one of our better teams. They're really fun to watch. So we love it. We love being able to bring that to the community and allowing them to play with us. And then one of the next things that I love, so coach support. So unlike kind of some of the other organizations that basically have volunteer coaches drop equipment on the field and say good luck, we have a little bit more coach support than most organizations. So we actually have paid staff, so they support all of our coaches. They're on the field every week. If a coach doesn't show up, our paid staff will step in and actually be the coach for the day, or if the assistant coach is doing it and they don't, like, what are we going to do today? They will actually step in and say, okay, here's the practice plan for the week. Let's go ahead and execute this, and help them out so they don't feel like a fish out of water. Or if they've never coached before, like if they have a 3-year-old and have never coached before, never played the sport, we have other resources that they can use as well. So we use practice plans that are built out for each week for our coaches, depending on the level as well. So if they're in Pee Wee, it's age appropriate for the Pee Wee. If it's our older senior, like flag football kids, we hope they understand where the end zone is, right? We're not going to go and show them where the end zone is, right? So it's all age appropriate, and we make sure that they're getting true value out of what we're offering to them. And then the other thing, all of our coaches go through our background checks, of abuse prevention training, and then they have a national coach training that they go through as well. So not only do we support them, but we also make sure that it's safe to be on the field with the kids. So unless you have a red coach shirt, you've done the background check, you're not going to be on the field with the kids. So we want to make sure that everybody's safe, everybody's comfortable on the fields, all of that as well. Some of the other things we do too. So we've partnered with a bunch of different organizations that offer the coaches additional training. So anybody who wants to kind of go above and beyond, get some additional training. We partnered with USA Football and Basketball, Sports Ed TV, Move United, and there's about 5 or 6 other ones, but those are kind of the big ones that we've partnered with. So they can go on there at any time, do that additional training, kind of level up that training. So this season, so spring season is our first season. We are in Trinity Church, which is Oleo and 116th Street in Fishers. This season, we had 261 kids playing across 3 sports, so flag football, soccer, and t-ball. We had 85 of those kids were actually from the Lawrence area that came up to us to be able to play. So it would be nice if they didn't have to travel as far. That's one of the big things for us. But we did have 85 kids that came from this area for this season. It's a 7-week season. For spring, it's 6-week season for summer, and then a 7-week season for fall. We have 12 total flag football teams this season, which we're really excited and proud of. And then we had 14 soccer teams and 8 t-ball teams. Our regular season registration is $154. We do offer discounts up to $20 off for early registration or off-season registration, depending on how early or ahead of time they do it. We also do a bunch of promo codes, so once they're in our system, we'll send out $20 off, $30 off, those kind of promo codes. But our big goal, kind of like we were saying earlier, is we want every kid to be able to play in whatever capacity that is, whether they play all 3 of our sports, one of our sports, whatever that looks like, that we can help support them. So most studies show that 70% of kids quit sports by the time they're 13. And so it's a huge statistic to us that we're really passionate about stopping that statistic. I would say most kids were saying that it just wasn't fun anymore. So that's the reason why most of them quit, was it just wasn't fun. They weren't enjoying it. Coaches started yelling at them and getting way too aggressive, all of that. So we want to have a place for kids to play as long as they want to play and have that recreational. They don't have to go to travel. They can just enjoy the game, just enjoy what they're doing without having to feel the pressure to, go to D1 football, right? Like, that's not our goal for them unless that's their goal. And so we love to have that space to be able to do that. One of the other things that I love is we're actually in partnership with the nonprofit Every Kid Plays. We have 6 kids this year, this season, in spring season, that are actually using that program. So it's an application process. They will give you up to $150 gift card for each season for each kid. And so it's income-based, so it helps kind of fill that need for anybody who isn't able to pay, or low income, those kind of things. So it kind of fills that gap for them, so they don't feel like they have to really reach for, go into debt to play sports, right? Like, I don't want anybody to go into debt to play sports. That's not our goal. So this kind of gives them the ability to do that without having to feel like they're going to be strained or their kid's missing out, which I, again, don't want that to happen. So we really are just looking for a partnership. One of our biggest thing is we want to give back to the community in whatever capacity we can do that. For Trinity Church, for example, they are doing a huge outreach in downtown Indianapolis, and so we actually had a week where we had everybody bring a donation for the church to take down there. So any way we can help the community, we want to do that as well. So it's not just about how many kids can we get in here and all of that, which I love, but also what does that look like giving back to the community. That's pretty much what I have. Do you have anything additional that I missed?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I'll just
make
say,
sure.
like, obviously that's pretty high level, but I would echo the community outreach piece that maybe isn't fully laid out in, the PowerPoint presentation, but that is something we very much care about. That is obviously why I told you why we care about coming to Lawrence specifically, right? But we don't just say it to say it, right? When we partnered with Trinity, I made it very clear, because I handled that negotiation with them of like, I don't want you to say yes just because we're paying you to rent your field, right? I want you to say yes because we share the similar values, right? So immediately I asked them, hey, what are different things your church does that we can partake in, that our staff can partake in, that our families can partake in? And obviously, like, not everyone is going to partake in that from our all the families that play in our league, but it was so cool for us to see families bring clothes and food and things like that the church is donating to a homeless area downtown, and our organization is a part of that, right? We were a part of that. We don't want that to stop with whoever we partner with. So obviously I would challenge Lawrence of like, what are ways in that capacity, right? Like just think of ways that you think we could help, whether that's service day and our staff comes and does a service day, or something our families can donate to. Obviously we care about the sportsmanship values and the 9 words, right? Like, that is who we are. We also care about like our families growing up wanting to embody them, right? And give it back to the community within reason or where they can. So obviously it's not as much in the PowerPoint, but just letting you all know we really care about that. It is something that, if we were to do a field agreement, the next question I would ask is, what are ways we can partner together in that aspect, right? Because that's something we care about, and obviously helps each other out in the sense of it's what we want, and also maybe a need for the community as well. So other than that, a couple of small things I would just add is we kind of more back to the league base, but we have a parent sign a parent pledge. So if you were to be worried at all about angry, crazy parents at an AAU tournament, that does not and is not a part of our organization. Just based on 4 weeks so far right now at Trinity, having kids from all over the city, not just the Fishers area, we have had 0 incidents of screaming or or yelling at a kid or
necessarily fix
anything
it.
that you would consider like a negative impact or aggressive to a kid or another kid. And I don't take that for granted, right? Very grateful for that. I think a big part of that is the institution that we create for them, right? The parent pledge. On week 1 of every season, we pull all the parents together while their kids are practicing with the coaches, and we do a quick 2 to 5 minute conversation on, hey parents, here's what you can expect for the season, what you can expect for today, here's what we expect from you, here's what you should expect from us. And there's a lot of studies that show like all that communication ahead of time creates a better environment for parents to not lash out at a high school ref or a college or young adult ref or one of us paid staff. And so if you were to ever be worried about that aspect, which obviously a lot of people are at times, can't say that's never going to happen, right? We can't control everyone, but we definitely create an environment where that is very limited, which I'm proud of. I grew up playing travel sports. I grew up
It's insane.
with yelling coaches and parents, and I quit at age 13 from travel sports, so I was one of the 70%. Now, I didn't quit sports for good. I played golf instead, but it definitely, irked me from playing baseball for a long time, and that's part of why I'm super passionate about I-9 is we want to be the change of creating an environment where kids don't have that experience. And we're going to have kids that are very good and qualified, and maybe travel is the next step for them, and that's what they want, and we're very happy to help place them, right, or find an organization for them. We're never going to turn that down for a family. We're obviously not. We don't need every kid. We just want the kids that find joy in this or value in this, and I feel like we can meet a lot of people, especially in the Lawrence community, but just overall in the city, which is great.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
I got several questions. Just want to make sure we get it on the record. Right now, your location's up in Fishers. You're offering soccer, flag football, and t-ball, correct? Those 3 activities?
Correct.
I-9 has the ability to, what other sports are you looking possibly to branch into?
Yep. So that's what we offer outdoor on our normal league play as of right now.
Okay.
In the summer, we're actually adding a indoor basketball venue in Fishers. So we're operating basketball starting this summer. Obviously, we can pull kids from anywhere around the city. And then as we progress, we are able to add venues and offer more sports. So obviously, like we're looking at we're going to add volleyball at the indoor venue we currently have. But the kind of beauty for us is we're not tied to Fishers, right? We can keep expanding. Right. Now, obviously, we want to stay there, but we can keep expanding to reach more of the community.
Where are you looking to do your indoor activity at?
Like for Fishers right now?
Yeah.
So right now it's at, it's called the Play School at Arbor Village. It's a daycare that has an incredibly nice gym that I'm also biased about because my daughter goes there.
Oh, there you go.
And they've been amazing. And when we talk about partnerships, like they have been an incredible partner to us and vice versa of ways we can help give back to their daycare organization. They're one of 3 locations as well. But as of what sports we offer, obviously t-ball, flag football, soccer, those are our core outdoor sports. We also have a thing called multi-sport that we have not tapped into yet intentionally, but we think there can be an incredible value, something we care about, especially me having a 2-year-old right now, of multi-sport means it's a 6-week program, right? It's 7 weeks, 1 week is whatever, like an introduction practice, but then it's 2 weeks of each of those 3 core sports. It's 2 weeks of t-ball, 2 weeks of flag football, 2 weeks of soccer. And why I feel like that's very important is a 3-year-old does not know what they want to play. Right. Your parent is choosing for them, which is totally okay.
We moved 3 kids this season
And
to that.
Part of it is we didn't want to open this our first season. We want to get established in the 3 core sports we have, but we learned there's enough demand of like multiple kids switching mid-season already because like, my child doesn't like t-ball, they want to try soccer or whatever that looks like. And so I feel like that's a great avenue long-term to offer to specifically kids of a younger age to try to figure out what they're interested in. Maybe it's all of it, right? Maybe it's none of it, maybe it's one of the 3, but it can help parents kind of help identify where their kid's going to be happy and thrive.
Couple things here. Your spring season is wrapping up in the next 2-3 weeks?
We're off this week, and then we have 3 more weeks of play.
Okay,
So,
and-
another month.
And the break between the spring and the summer season, there's a break. Is that what, a couple of weeks?
Yep.
about a month.
I think
Okay.
it's this year. I think it's 3 weeks. We obviously we avoid playing on any holiday
Right,
weekend.
right, I remember you
So
saying
we
that.
decided rather than playing 1 week off a week for 4th of July, we pushed it to post 4th of July.
The big question, of course, parents are going to have, it's $154. Is that per season? Okay, so if you guys, this time next year, y'all are doing the pizza with the 3 toppings on it, that seems like a good way to sell that. Would that be, I'm rounding up, kid opts to do that for 6-7 weeks, that's $160 for that session.
season.
For
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Correct.
Got it.
Yeah.
Now, do you have kids right now that are playing soccer and flag football?
So we are Saturday only right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we practice before the game. So because of the way the schedule works, it doesn't work out that way.
Right.
Now, we're hoping to eventually grow to a Saturday and a Sunday.
Right.
And many franchises have done that where then, like my son, for example, he played T-ball on Saturday, he played flag football on Sunday. And I love that because he is full of energy and the more I can get him out, the better.
Right.
But it's nice because for busy working parents, it's 1 day a week. So you're not having to dedicate yourself to 3 practices on, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then a game on Saturday, or, a 9:00 game on a Tuesday night when they're in 1st grade. And then they have to go to bed and get up in the morning, at 7 a.m. So that's one of the things as a mom I love too, because planning wise, it makes it way easier. I know what time they're playing or what day they're playing every week for that 7 weeks. And it, for planning wise, I'm type A, I want to plan. So
I will add to that though.
Yeah.
Obviously, as of now, our organization is structured for Saturday only. Long term, that's not what we want,
Right.
right? We actually want to add weeknight clinics for people to sign up if
They choose.
they choose.
That's what
and are
they
interested,
want,
right?
yeah.
So it would be an extra fee. It would just tack on to their season fee or whatever, and they would get a second practice during the week. We would run that from like our paid staff, right? That is not going to fill the need for every kid playing in an organization, but there are some of those kids and families that do want that, right? So we don't want to limit that for them as well.
What does the 154, because got to break it down, what does that,
Yeah.
does a kid get for the $154?
Yeah, so they get obviously the 7 weeks of play,
Right.
Practice game. You obviously learn about the values. Every child gets a sportsmanship medal throughout the season. Every child gets to take home a yard sign that says sportsmanship award winner for that week or whatever. And you get to put it at home. You also get a jersey, so you get equipment. The jersey is reversible. So, for parents that have multiple kids, it's like, oh, are we red or are we blue this week? It's
Right.
like, just bring the one jersey you have. We
Flip
always
it
can
over.
figure that out right there. And then obviously a big thing is we sell an experience, right?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
it is that, and we obviously believe in what this experience is, and even just seeing this for 4 weeks now, obviously been around it for a while, but
Right.
seeing it with us running
Where
it for
you're
4
in
weeks,
charge flying the
like
airplane. Got it.
it's just like the grin goes so open, right? You're just like, it's crazy. And the coolest thing I'll say too is like we've had multiple refs that like are kind of new the last 2 weeks, and all of them have said like, man, it is like infectious how
If they want to come back, it's almost like being the substitute teacher. You'll know if they want to come back or if they leave at noon and school doesn't get out till 3:30, yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's been like so cool to see of like, it's like, man, the positivity mindset of like, this isn't cutthroat sports, but yet they're still learning and getting better.
Still competing.
Right.
Right.
And they were like, I've never seen anything like this. And it's like, exactly right. There isn't this in our community to a full degree, I would say.
And I'll add to the value too. So, our T-ball, for example, is 3 to 6 year olds, our multi-sports 3 to 6 year olds. We don't expect you to go buy them a bat and a helmet and,
Okay.
all the equipment. We supply that. So the only thing we don't supply is shin guards, a mouth guard for flag football, and a glove for T-ball.
Right.
So that's the only thing the parents have to purchase outside of us. So we're not saying pay this money and then you also have to buy a bat and
Yeah,
a helmet
uniform
and a
and
soccer
all that.
ball and a
They'd have
football
you around.
and this
Yep.
and that and the other, right? So we do offer all of that. That comes with our program.
And technically, we still have a couple spare gloves at the field.
Yeah.
In case
If
a
need
kid
be.
forgets, right? We don't want
Yeah.
anyone to feel left out.
Yeah.
I only have one other question. What does, A, currently, what's your agreement look like you have with the church? And B, if you I'm saying when you go to the indoor venue for summertime basketball and volleyball, what would agreement look like for you guys?
So it's interesting because those two venues have two very different agreements.
Oh, yeah, and we would have one very, very different too, so
which
yeah.
is totally fine. So the church venue is, we pay one fee for the whole season, and then we just pay that fee for each season.
Right.
Which is interesting. And then the basketball venue is, we just pay per hour. So if we're there 2 hours, we pay 2 hours. We're there 8 hours, we pay 8 hours. And for that one, for the basketball one, we've essentially signed a year agreement in the
Now,
sense
are
of-
both venues requiring the same amount, sort of insurance, so, liability, all that?
Yeah.
So we actually, so every child that comes through our program, and so that's part of why they'd have to go through our system, is because it includes their insurance. So kind of going back to the value, we do pay per kid an insurance for the year for them.
Okay.
So that is included in ours, and we have a $2 million policy on that. So we do have that. And then for the venues, we actually list the venues as a
Additional insured.
thank you, additional insured.
Right.
For each of the venues as well. So they're also listed as an additional insured. Thank you for that.
Tom, questions?
Yep. Are you part of a bigger organization? Is that right?
Yes, we're part of a franchise. Yeah, so there's 250 franchises around the United States. And so we are part of that entire organization of I-9.
Are the other ones in Indiana?
There's one in northern
Technically.
Indiana. It's more Chicago,
Yeah.
but it kind of dips into northern Indiana. But
Chicago
that's,
suburbs.
yeah, but right now
Okay,
we're the
that's
only.
where my grandkids live.
Okay, yeah, so there's one up
Yeah.
there.
So I know that.
But yeah, so as of right now, now there's other franchises available that haven't been purchased in Fort Wayne, Evansville, and the west side of Indy. That, obviously we don't own those. So those are available, they just haven't been purchased yet.
Your coaches, are they volunteer coaches?
Yep.
Yep.
How do you recruit those people?
Lots of phone calls.
Very carefully.
Baseball bat and all
Lots,
that.
lots of phone calls,
So
and
you
then
don't
on
show
day
up
one
and
too.
threaten.
So like day one, if a team doesn't have a coach, then we plead with the parents, hey, does anybody step up? The nice thing about us is we do have paid staff, so we actually have one team who no coach stepped up, and we have a paid staff that's their coach every week. So if that comes to where we end up with, a team without a coach, we don't dissolve that team. We don't, we don't wing it, right? We have somebody who steps in.
I'll say out of all the teams we had for the spring, I want to say we had 3 teams that had no coach going into week 1, and all 3 of them we got a coach like on week 1. Now we helped them coach week 1, right? Because they hadn't gone through a background check yet. And then one of the 3 teams, one of the coaches had to back out due to they just couldn't make it every week or whatever. So our staff is coaching that team. But when they register their child, there's a line that says, are you interested in coaching? So that's step 1, right? We get people that way. A lot of people just moms or dads be like, yeah, I want to coach my kid or my nephew or
Usually
whatever.
mom's telling the husband that you're gonna coach.
So that I would say that's probably where we get 75% of our coaches.
Voluntellis.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
you call that?
Yeah.
So that's 75% of our coaches, and then the other 25 is us,
Recruiting.
having to recruit in that sense. I think the big thing too that I've learned just through the 4 weeks is I've had so many conversations of coaches being like, I just don't know anything about soccer or whatever, and I'm like, great thing is you don't need to know anything about soccer, right? Do you have a phone? And they're like, yeah. It's if you can pull up the practice plan, all you have to do is just pull that up when you walk into the field, right? And it walks you through that practice for the week. So if you have no interest at all, right, if you can just read, on your phone, or obviously we can print hard copies or whatever, and the amount of people that have gone through the practice, the game, and I'll ask them, coach, how was it today, right? You looked like you enjoyed it, and they're like, this is a lot easier than I thought. It was actually so fun, right?
Yeah.
Especially getting to watch your kids and your kids play with other kids and have fun, and
Sure.
that environment's great. But that's overall how we get
And we do have an
coaches.
app too. You just
Yeah.
remind me.
Yeah. We have
all of our
an app, we have
coaches
an
have
app to access all this information for coaches and our staff.
How do you group the kids by age?
So basically what we do is we see who signs up, and then once we go past our final registration deadline, then we group them what makes sense, right? So if there's one, this year we had 1 9-year-old for soccer, for example. So instead of making it 7 to 8-year-olds, we made it 7 to 9-year-olds because we wanted to include them in it without having to have them, go to a different sport or whatever. So it really depends on what our registration looks like. But we really try and keep it like peewee, so like 3, 4-year-olds, 5, 6-year-olds together, and then 7 to 9, and then like for flag, because they don't start till 4. So flag we did 5.
4 and 5.
Yeah, 4, thank you. I was like, wait, there's too many numbers. 4 5-year-olds, then we did 6 7-year-olds, 8 to 10-year-olds, and then 11 to 14. So we broke it down that way just to make sure that we had enough teams. We wanted to be competitive without it being like, I'm not going to put a 14-year-old with an 8-year-old, right? Like that's just a different skill set.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So really it comes down to registration.
Okay.
And like part of it too is if there's a tweener kid, like we'll contact that parent, like, hey,
Are you good?
like
One way or the
they
other.
give us like, you know, height and weight measurements of a kid, like, all right, kid looks a little smaller, are you okay if your child moves down in age or up in age, but depending on that sort of
Makes
thing.
sense.
And then on that topic, in a way, we actually can change teams as the season is going on. In the sense of we ironically have a situation this week, a child didn't come the first 2 weeks, has come the last 2 weeks and is substantially better than every other kid in that age group, to where it's not, he's not getting pushed as much and it's not competitive enough. Like it's not the best situation for every other kid playing, right?
Yeah.
So we're now moving that child up because we contacted the family, we have the ability to do that, and now the child can get pushed more in a positive and healthy way, but not ruin it for, you know, the younger age
Right.
group in the sense of scoring 15 goals in a game.
Yeah.
So,
Every kid plays, how does that work?
Yeah.
Every kid plays?
For the organization, for the nonprofit, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're a separate organization than us, so they're a nonprofit. There's several other nonprofits that we have kind of a list for, so Every Kid Sports, Good Sports, All Kid Plays, Challenge Athletes Foundation, and then we have local sponsors as well that will sponsor kids. And so the one we've partnered with currently is Every Kid Plays. That's kind of who we send people to that come to us and say, I don't know if I can afford this. I don't know what that looks like. And so we had them go. They actually go through that organization and fill out the application. So that's all done through that organization. And then they just basically call me and say, you know, if our registration's at $154, they get a $150 gift card. I just lower it to $150, so they're not even paying that $4. Actually lower even lower than that because we pay a $3 processing fee, so I lower it even more than that. So $147 is
Okay.
basically what they pay. But yeah, so I try and make it so they don't have to pay anything going into it.
and I would add the biggest thing with every kid, all kid plays, all kids play, is like just education, right, to all the families that like that is an option. Because a lot of people obviously don't know that that's an option, right? And a lot of people could qualify for that and have their kids be playing the
So
sport.
how would the parents know about that?
I mean, obviously, we would inform them, but part of, you know, obviously partnering together and what we care about is informing people of not only who we are, but that this is an
There's
option,
other
Yeah,
right?
organizations.
that
for-
would
for
be my
people who
concern,
can't
is
play.
that parents would not consider you to be an option
Yeah.
because they couldn't afford it. or-
So what we see a lot of, and what we saw this last season, was a lot of parents had put a registration in a shopping cart, and we see that. So then we call them and say, hey, like, what's preventing you from moving forward? And then that's when I find out, oh, you don't feel like you can afford it, or you're waiting till payday, you know, whatever the case may be, right? And then that's where we can evaluate, is this somebody who, you know, could really use this? Let's go ahead and inform them, give them the website, all of that, so then they can go and apply for it. So, you know, if they get to the point where they put it in their cart and then they say, whoa, this is a lot more than I can afford right now, that's one way that we can inform them on it. And then the other is just, you know, if they call in, we have a customer service center. Our customer service center knows about it. That's part of our franchise. So somebody always answers the phone, which is really nice. So it's not, yeah, it's not just us. Like, it's not like, you know, they'll call my cell phone if they have a specific question, but our customer service center is 24 hours a day. They can answer any questions. They have all of that. So it makes it really nice too that we have that support and they know about Every Kid Plays.
Is there anything on your website that says that this is an option?
I don't,
Because I didn't remember
No.
seeing.
no,
don't
I don't think
so.
we have anything because they're not part of the franchise. So that's just something locally that we have found out about that we've been sending
Oh,
people
okay.
to. So this isn't part of like our overall, like mother franchise of I-9 Sports.
So I was just trying to think through how would the parents
Yeah.
know that if it's even an option?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
there's definitely things we can do, like we get people that come to us that become members. Doesn't mean they sign their child up. They become members, so they're in our database where we can send out communication to them. So like
It has
that,
gone out
that
as
so
emails.
it's
Yeah,
gone out that
word of
way.
mouth.
So there's avenues in which we can do that. I think what you're saying is like, to someone who has no idea who I-9 is,
Right.
how do we tell them, right? Those are things, obviously, we'd love to work together on ways we can, make that happen or what that looks like to spread the word on that, because obviously that's something we care about. We care about getting as many kids to play sports as possible, especially kids that can't afford it, right? They shouldn't, because they can't afford it, they shouldn't be, not have the ability to play still,
Yeah,
right?
that's my concern, is I want all kids to have an opportunity to play.
Yeah.
and
Definitely.
I don't want
same.
the parents saying, we can't afford this,
Yeah.
when the kid really wants to play.
Yeah, yeah. So there's definitely, ways, most of it's gonna be you have to let me know for me to, just
Yeah.
like most situations, like if I don't know, I can't help you. So,
I understand.
but yeah, so that's something too, like Connor said, if that's something we can put out on Lawrence's website as well and say, hey, if this is an issue, contact I-9 or let us know and we can find that,
Okay.
so.
Hope-
Roman or Jamie, Roman, I know we are very interested in that you're working to get us into the flag football routine. Is I-9 something that could help us go down that road from everything from signing kids up? Give me your 2 cents there, my friend.
Yeah,
Mike works.
I think from my experience in being a part of youth leagues, having the infrastructure already set in place helps a lot. 'Cause I've been around starting leagues from scratch, and it's one of those things that can drive you crazy
Yeah.
if you don't have the infrastructure there. But meeting with them the first time, and then hearing it again today, they have everything laid out. So I think that's important, and I think that's the first step in having a successful league, is having that there that you can, and then the workers, they can lean on each other to work. The coaching aspect, having some of the people under them step up and coach, that is important too, because I've always been in the situation where I've had to run a league and
coach
coach
in it, yeah.
and do practice. So that to me, it just sounds like a home run. Yeah.
Miss Jamie, you have anything? Council lady, Lizzie, you got anything?
I-9, what is the origin of the name?
Yeah, so I'll go up here a
Yep.
little bit, just so I can go into the mic. So I-9, so our founder was, he founded in 1995, I think it was. And so he basically sat down in a hotel room one night and said, what are the values that, I-9, that I want I-9 to look like? What do I want to encompass? And so he wrote down a lot of words, and there were 9 I words that were included in that, like inclusion, yeah. So that's kind of the origin of it. And that's where, the sportsmanship medals really come into play, yeah.
And I'll add, it has since been rebranded from the corporate office to obviously not 9 I words, right? They changed the words a little bit, kept them descriptively similar, but kept it to 9 words still. Obviously, they don't all start with I now. So they've since rebranded that but conceptually, it is also there.
Eric, you got D, questions, things you want to, clarification?
No, I'm just curious about the foundation portion of it too. You explained that very well, so it sounds like you have several sources you can direct people to. Because our community might need that.
I had a couple suggestions.
Yeah.
One I told Roman, suggested Roman the other day, was kickball.
Oh, yeah.
That's some killer, because I'm looking for, what I'm interested in is sports or activities that don't take that much skill.
Yeah, so we
That's the
also
problem.
have, so we can also offer, it's not currently on what we're looking at, we do have lacrosse and tennis as well.
Yeah.
So those are additional sports that we could. So with being part of the franchise, like kickball isn't one of the sports that we can
Okay.
offer. We do have obviously a huge list of other sports that we can offer. Soccer, no soccer person kill me, but soccer doesn't take a whole lot of knowledge base to get into it, whether you get in at 3 years old or 12. So, but yeah, so I think there's still a lot of space for that. And because of our being inclusive, you know, like we have a couple of kids with special needs and their parents are on the field with them, so that they can help them understand and learn and those kind of things. So like, that's also not out of the question, right? So like, yes, we can do what we can to help those kids, but we also give them the ability to have a safe person on the field, you know, their mom, somebody they trust. So that's kind of another, you know, part of it, I guess.
Yeah, my other one was ultimate frisbee.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were talking about that.
Isn't that's a pretty cool sport.
Yeah.
It is.
I did-
So fun.
Yes.
There was an article in the New York Times about that. this
Got a kid that ran for me at LN, Eric Lewis, very good athlete, and he plays. He gets a stipend, but yeah, for lack of a better term, he's a professional ultimate frisbee player.
Yeah, it's a.
And I just went, holy heck,
It's becoming-
what a gig!
That's funny.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Our next step that we need to undertake, I'm going to leave in the hands of Jamie, Eric, our legal, and you all folks to possibly enroll and to see what a use agreement, because if the city of Lawrence is serious, obviously the spring season's going to be over. When does your fall season start?
Yeah, September 6th.
Maybe, if not for June, but July to have in place, maybe
Yeah.
a use agreement with y'all and bring it before my board or my full board.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'll add to it. Obviously, like, I'm gonna be cautious, like, don't take this the wrong way.
No, no,
but-
no.
But the sooner we can do it.
The better. That's why I
better
said
that
July
we
at the
can-
latest,
That we
but
can start marketing to the area.
got it.
And I'll add part of why, you know, it's $154 for the average fee, which, by the way, a majority of our registrations are less than $154.
Okay.
Our average across the board is $148. And that's
okay.
because people sign up early, and we obviously encourage that, right? You save money, if you know you're gonna play anyway, save $20 or whatever. But we spend a lot in marketing expense ourselves, right, for grassroots marketing, and that doesn't happen overnight. And obviously digital marketing, and so the sooner and we've already been starting to market to Lawrence, but obviously, let's just say a use agreement is signed and everything, like, different ballgame of where, like,
Right.
we would ramp that up because we want the league to be healthy and competitive in numbers.
And
to where-
especially in its location, I could see, and where schools, everybody starts differently. I could see I-9 drawing not only from Lawrence Township, but McCordsville, Fortville, they kind of start school with Lawrence Township, but Warren Township, which starts in the middle of, you know, feels like the middle of June, but they start July 20th, roughly. So, like I said, I think it's a great location for this. It's off the interstate. It's Franklin Road's a main drive and the like. So I think from your standpoint, get together with people whose pay grade's much higher than mine, and maybe we can have something to work out at our June board meeting, which is the second Wednesday of each month. Anything else?
Fine with me.
Anything else? Anything from the audience?
I've got some other things, since we didn't get a chance to finish our meeting the other day, I got some other questions.
Okay, go ahead and ask Eric. Thank you, guys. Go ahead, Thomas.
The cultural campus, do we ever decide whether that's a park or not?
Cultural campus, it is considered a park location, yes.
Okay, because, you know, the Loggers of Lawrence thing, they approved the agreement through the
Board of Works.
But wouldn't they need an agreement with us since they're using our park? I know it's an AFE situation.
Yeah.
Because I'm not even clear that it's a city event, because it's, you know, we've kind of contracted it out to Indiana on Tap.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of an, you know, neither either
Yeah,
nor whatever.
Again, as long as I know that went through the Board of Works because there's a funding issue attached to it.
Let me ask you this, when we call the cultural campus, Board of Works only actually is in possession of Heartland's building? Okay,
Starrett Centers, parks, VAC and the theater we always work under the assumption it's under Public Works.
So
Hold-
hence,
whoa. Say that again?
The Starrett Center was deeded to the Parks Department.
right,
Okay.
So that's under Parks Department. The theater and the Visual Arts Center under the Board of Works. Is how we've
But the
been,
cultural campus, not the art center, is a park.
it's under the City of Lawrence, or under
the Parks Department.
Parks Department, yes.
Okay.
And we thought Unigov and all that make people crazy. We got,
Well, to enter into the agreement with Heartland, and after we paid the loans off.
Right.
For the Starrett Center, that's when it was deeded to the Parks Department, and not deeded to the city, it was deeded to the Parks Department. So you could enter in the agreement with Heartland.
Okay.
kind of the uniqueness that parks boards have compared to any other appointed board. I mean, other than having to go before the council to get approved, I mean, we could vote that we want a bond, but we still have to go before the council to get its approval. But we have, parks boards are a kind of, they're quasi-independent.
Yeah, it's confusing.
Yes.
But there's a lot of maze in the law.
Yep.
May I ask?
Yeah,
a
go ahead,
question
Lizzie.
From the floor. So with the Loggers in Lawrence, we pay the organization money to put it on? Is it like $10,000?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Plus they get 90% of the profits.
It's a good deal for them.
Yeah, they get
Yeah,
a real big deal.
and how long have we been doing that?
4 years. I think,
4
because the
years.
agreement it was a 4-year agreement.
I think this was just a 3-year, I believe.
And
Okay, and how does that benefit Lawrence?
I think you'd have to ask the mayor. Because we're not involved in that.
Yeah, I could not
We
give
have-
you a
we
direct
have nothing- We
answer.
have nothing to do with it.
Yeah. Other than if you like to get together and drink cold beer and eat and watch wiener dog races.
Okay,
I don't really like the beer.
and because it seems like it's probably a cost to us
Well,
in
yeah.
addition to the $10,000 that we're
Yes.
paying.
Yeah, because we have to do all the setup.
And the tear
We
down
also
and the
provide
cleanup.
2 security officers.
Yeah,
So
Okay.
there's a
But,
big expense to the whole thing.
The Parks Department, they did not offer the stage so they are paying the Parks Department to put the stage up this year, so.
and how much?
We're gonna get compensated for that, $2,500,
'Cause is that in the contract? I don't-
yeah.
Okay, see that part.
So it's
Do-
down to,
Is it roughly the same, you may not know this, but roughly the same as what it was for the previous years?
I believe so, yeah.
I kind of assumed it
Yeah.
was, and we were just continuing on. So, that's it.
thank you.
Anything else there, Thomas?
The master plan,
Uh-huh.
where are we on that now?
You should have gotten an email today
Okay, I didn't-
for a virtual meeting on the 3rd, I think it is, from 3 to 4:30 to go over the points that were processed through the open house.
The open house
and-
community
and
engagement. yeah.
focus
So
groups.
who gets to make the final decision about what happens with this? Have we determined that yet?
Yeah, I mean, the steering committee will direct,
They'll advise.
they'll advise, the steering committee will advise REA what to put into whether that's Astrodome or, something.
And then what happens after that?
We hope we get an influx of funds.
Well, but who gets to make the decision about what gets done? That's my question. Because if we don't get to make that decision, then.
I'll go ahead and, I'll be,
Because some people have already made up their mind.
I'll just be blunt, we'll get arm twisted and told what certain elements will want there, but the bottom line is, Parks Board, whoever's sitting on the Parks Board is the ultimate, we're the decider, period.
That's my question.
Yeah, the bottom line is,
Do
we
get
decide
a vote?
what goes in there, yes.
Not
Now, we'll get
perfectly
arm
happy to
twisted and
accept
told.
whatever the vote is, but
Yep.
I think we should be the decider.
Well, like I said, I go back that the Parks Boards around the state statute are a quasi-independent appointed body. We just are. And I'm gonna be honest, if something is decided to be built there and it hadn't become before this board, it's bogus, it's not legal, and the uniqueness of Community Park is and it's who we got it from and what it has to remain and stay. Because, you know, it's Department of Interior, Department of Defense, pretty tight caveats how that property can be used.
But I'm trying to work my way through this process.
Right.
To see where it's gonna end up.
Right.
Obviously, we haven't decided where the money's coming from.
Oh, yeah.
or Anything.
Right.
And plus, it depends, who's making the decision about what happens and how
Yes.
that money gets spent. That's kind of important, I'd say.
Yeah, like I said, that comes before here, and we can ruffle tail feathers by saying no, or especially when it comes to the money portion. There is currently the budgeting for any project out there is,
Well, it's up to,
yes.
right there.
How much is REA charging?
The
for
reuse authority is paying for the master plan, and was it right at 95,000?
I think it was closer to 70.
But the reuse
It
authority,
was only 89 for all three parks.
correct.
They charge it that much?
Yeah, they dropped it some, but it was because the legwork is about the same whether you did one or
Jeez,
three.
Pete.
Yeah, we're in the wrong business.
Woo.
Yeah, I've learned from
That's a good deal.
I've learned from the writing of grants to the awarding of grants, and we are in the wrong business.
Apparently. Wow.
Yeah.
Hard to believe. So I don't know about that. But I
Yeah,
want
it had to
be
come
on, I
before
want to
this
be on the
body.
record saying I think we should get the
Yes.
final say on this. And
Correct.
I'm always willing to have my arm twisted. I mean, I'll listen.
I'll listen to anybody's
But I
argument.
want to make sure that, because it sounds like the decision by some people have already been made. And, if that's not going to come through us, well, it's a
Yeah,
bogus process.
I would tell whoever believes that they are grossly mistaken.
Okay, I'm listening, where are we on raises?
I've had a couple discussions with the administration, and it's now, it's kind of come to a standstill, but I need to push it along and re-ask the question. I think
Because the money was put into the budget at the beginning, it's in the budget, right? For the raises, the money was put in the budget by the mayor.
the controller, had the money in for 3%,
Right.
yes. So it's,
Yeah, so
it's theirs.
It was in the budget.
It is.
And, I haven't heard anything from the council that would make me think that there's any problem. Everything sounds pretty good to me. Don't see any problem, I don't see any problem. from
Right.
What's in public anyway. So it'd be nice if the workers were treated decently.
Yeah. Say the least, morale amongst two certain departments that will remain unnamed, not real strong right now. They continue to work very hard and dedicated and loyal to the city, but they're grossly understaffed and greatly overworked.
And I notice now that we've hired a company to help recruit workers for the city. So, we must be having a little bit of trouble finding workers.
Yes, we're having a lot of trouble, and the saying, pig, lipstick, and something trying to fly, that's,
Quite
yes.
add up, does it?
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know, I just wanted to make sure that didn't fall off the table. Because I think it should still be there, and
Yeah.
they deserve a raise.
And for the record, we've got, we moved one gentleman today, been here 30 days as a part-time employee, moving to full-time. And then we've got a full complement of seasonal staff coming on. We've got two started, one started today,
Next Tuesday.
and then next week we've got three more coming on. So we'll have a full complement of seasonal maintenance staff.
So we're fully staffed now? are we?
Well,
We're fully-
yes, yeah. We
Okay.
still have one position, full-time position, but we're gonna get through this season and see how that looks, so.
Because we're not spring chickens in this department.
No, and it's hard work.
Yes.
It is hard work.
I don't want to break a nail either, so I'm not coming back.
I don't think we're coming back.
No.
I think we're.
I've hard
beyond
enough
that
time
stage.
getting my pants on in the morning, let alone working what they're doing.
I'm done.
You done? Anything else? Anyone?
No,
Going once? Going twice?
hit the guy.
Let's go home.